Everybody, Dave here, Hidden Freedom. Today is January 1st, 2024, so that puts 2023 officially in the books. What a fantastic year for the stock market in 2023. And I hope everybody had a great New Year's. Happy holidays to you. In this video, I want to talk about melting the dividend snowball, in addition to many other things, amongst my 2024 income projections and the goals for this portfolio and whatnot. If you're new to this channel, in 2022 I retired early and went and hiked the Appalachian Trail for 6 months, came back from the trail, kind of got a little bored, ended up going back to work in early 2023, and then here we are back back at work, growing the portfolio, stacking cash, and the goals have changed for the portfolio slightly. So that's kind of where the journey lies at this point. I have the fire date down here at 1,488 days left, although that is kind of the worst case. Most likely it's actually going to be smaller than that. I really haven't set an official date for that. Anyways, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, little recap here. So over the last several years here, since starting 2029 here, I was starting to get into dividends more, and then 2020 more dividends going there, and then so what do we have, like $7,000, $800 the first year, $7,000 the second year, the third year $25,000, and then we had $62,000 in 2022, and then last year officially in the books of 2023 we had over $43,000 in dividends. And I did make some changes between 2022 and 2023, and I talked about it in a few videos ago, but I realized that new folks are coming into the channel, so just kind of want to do a little recap there. And so everything in red here has been cut out of the portfolio. The only thing left in my portfolio now is JEPI and SPY. So I further reduced the dividends down from $43,000, and the projections going forward is roughly about $27,000 total. So there's the total there. If we go back to the overview page here, we can see that the projections are breakdown by account there of $27,000. And that's why I call it melting the snowball effect, because technically we are unwinding the dividend portfolio. And you're thinking, well, Dave, shouldn't you be, building your snowball effect at this point? Well, I talked about it many videos ago, and for right now, because I went back to work, I want to reduce that income down as much as possible so I pay less taxes, right? And also, because I don't need the income right now, I'm trying to grow the portfolio. That is why I'm deep into SPY at this point. So that's where the portfolio sits. And then last week, I pretty much talked about all the income sources for my passive income. So there's the breakdown from last week's video there. Dividends of over $44,000 coming in for 2023. And then the taxable setting at about $28,000 of taxable dividends for last year. So that kind of brings us to 2024 here. And this is what I'm projecting for 2024. So options income at $33,000. Now, granted, I'm going to step up my options game significantly in the tax deferred accounts. So I have two tax deferred accounts here. And if we go over to the accounts, let's see here. I got the Solo 401k there. That's all into SPY. So there's over 500 shares of SPY in there, and then I have the Schwab IRA there at over 1,100 shares of SPY. So I'm going to step up the options game in that account and shoot to have a 4% return in just options. That's covered calls is my plan. A lot of the times my plans get shot in the face, but it is what it is. If I'm super safe and I'm just going way, way out of the money, roughly maybe doing a 45 DTE, then I think I can squeak out 4% out of, roughly about $700,000, $800,000 in those two accounts. So I should be able to, pull out a pretty good sum of money out of there. And then I'm just going to do roughly about $5,000 in the taxable. So I'm going to cut that down a little bit just because I don't want to really get taxed too heavily. I'm already collecting interest on that money. I think that the interest rates are going to get lowered next year, so that'll help a little bit. And then I'm projecting the real estate note income to be roughly about $14,000 next year. Interest income, I'm going to reduce down to $10,000 this year, just because I know interest rates are going to drop a little bit this year. Roughly, I'm thinking they're going to cut it about 1 to 1.5% is what I'm thinking. And then I added a Roth conversion. We'll talk about that here in a second. So dividend income will be $25,000 for 2024. We're going to cut the taxable dividend income down to $14,000. That's a significant change from last year's at $28,000. And that was a huge decrease from 2022. Let me talk about the Roth. So Roth conversion, I opened a Roth account officially today, January 1st, 2024, with Schwab. So I don't have anything in there yet. Obviously, with my W-2 job and whatnot, I don't qualify for a Roth to do contributions to it. Short of doing a mega back door or something like that, which I'm not even going to even entertain that option right now. So what I'm going to do is the long-term plan is to get out of all of the tax deferred accounts. So that means the IRA and the solo 401k. So that roughly, $700,000-$800,000, it's sitting right there. And then by the time I completely quit my job, I'm sure that's going to be way over $1 million in those accounts. And the goal is to convert slowly that money over time and get it fully out of there by the time Social Security starts. That's my plan. Obviously, you really need to get that money out of there before RMDs start, right? Which by the time I'm even probably old enough for RMDs, it might even be 75 years old at that point, right? That's the goal. That's the plan. But my real plan is to get it out of there by the time I'm collecting Social Security. So that's roughly 65 to 67. I'm not really sure when I'm going to collect it, right? Because that income that you convert counts as income for that year. And I think it's the tax at the highest rate as well. So whatever bracket you fall in, it get taxed at the highest rate. And that, income is going to count against your Social Security as far as, how you're taxed on that, in addition to possibly having a Medicare surcharge and whatnot. So I want to try to reduce those accounts as much as possible, down to roughly zero, and have it all converted to Roth income by roughly 65 years old. Now I'm 48 years old, roughly almost 49. So I have time, right? I got, another, 15 years or so. So the plan is to convert slowly. This year I'm just going to target $10,000 or $15,000, just to get some money in there. What my plan is for conversion, I think, I did a little bit of research on it. Maybe I'll make a video on it. I'm not really sure. My plan really for that, I think, is I'm going to start converting more heavily on drawdown years. So there's a lot of, different methods you can do. First of the year, end of the year. You can do split out through the year, because there's no cap on the amount of conversions you can do, right? You can do unlimited conversions throughout the year. So the best way to do it is if you have a 40% or 50% drawdown of the market, I would probably convert maybe all of it that particular year. And now that would be obviously a huge tax hit for that year, but how often do we have a 50% drawdown, right? So I do think that we will have a 50% drawdown, maybe 2 of those in the next 15 years, maybe just 1 of those in the next 15 years. So the next 1 of those we get, I will probably do the full conversion that year. Obviously, it's going to be a huge tax hit for me. I want to keep my income below the $400,000 mark. Now, I'm not anywhere near there, right? My income is roughly, probably with this income here, it's going to be roughly, I don't know, 250, 260. So you just want to keep it, I just want to keep it as low as possible, right? I need to worry about these taxes. This comes out of your pocket. And while we're waiting for those drawdown years, the 40 or 50% years, I still will convert a little bit every year, $10,000 to $15,000, as much as I can stomach, right? As this stuff gets reduced, right? Real estate's real estate notes get paid back every single year, so that gets reduced every single year. Interest rates are going to drop over the next several years, I have a feeling, so that'll get reduced. Dividends, those will not really be reduced very much going forward, because it's all in SPY at this point. All right. If we got, let me see, I'm projecting about, I think, $9,000 in SPY next year in the taxable account. So I'm going to actually further reduce the JEPI down to roughly about $5,000. So that'll be about $2,000 less than what it is now. And because that just funds the HSA, and then that money will go into SPY, which only pays 1.5%. So, and it's all qualified dividends. And the goal is to convert slowly, $10,000 to $15,000 a year, until we have that big drawdown. Maybe if we hit 40% or something like that, I will, draw maybe half the amount down. Maybe if we hit the 50%, then maybe I'll do the full amount, right? Just like how I kind of get into some investments, or how I play market drawdowns by investing. Then, when the market drops 20%, I invest some, and then when it drops 30%, I invest more. When it drops 40%, I invest even more, and then when it drops 50%, I just go full in on the market. I'm going to kind of play the same game here when it comes to the conversion, although I have a lot bigger time frame here. So if I have 15 years to do this conversion, then I can wait for a 40 or 50% drawdown. I don't know whether I'll convert it all in 1 year. That's just too big of a tax hit that I don't want to deal with. But at some point, you're going to have to take the tax hit, right? This account is likely and it continue to grow. If we even have a 10% increase this year, which is, typical for the market, right? That's going to be a $70,000, $80,000 gain. Not to mention the dividends coming in for those accounts. So the $10,000 or $15,000 is just going to be a small little dent. It's going to barely keep up. If not, it's probably right around what the dividends are. So, but I can also look at the conversion as, it's just got to sit in there. If we look at the Roth ladder here, if it just sits in there after the 5-year holding period, I can take that money out of there, right? So that's another pro for that, for this, particular strategy, is I'm building out the Roth ladder, and I can take that money out of there as long as it sits in there for 5 years. So I have that money available to me. Although I do plan on doing my second retirement here in roughly 2027 when I hit 52 years old. I have not set an official date for that yet, but it'll be coming. So let me just mention one more thing before I wrap this video up, because I don't want to make it very long, and my goal is this year to not make long videos for everybody. I can just say this: I'm very glad that I did not do a Rule 72T on my IRA. Even though you can set the interest rate, which was, I think, a Trump thing that he did on the Rule 72T. That would have been great to get the money, equal distributions and whatnot. But I would have been stuck with that money, at least until 59 years old. And me going back to work, that money would be taxed even heavily because of my W-2 income. So I'm really glad I did not do the Rule 72T. And for anybody that's thinking about doing a Rule 72T, I would highly suggest that you make sure that you do not plan on going back to work, and that you really need that income. Because once it's set until you're 59. So I can just say I'm really glad I didn't do it. All right, so I think we've pretty much talked about all the things I was to talk about in this video. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave a comment down below. I hope everybody has a great 2024, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.